Well, how do you like our new furniture in the sanctuary? Yeah. In just a moment, you're going to hear a great story from Ben Langley. Ben is with Jefferson County Public Schools and works with their Build-A-Bed project. And as we continue our ministry celebration month, we once again wanted to bring in one of our partner organizations to share with you how our church is partnering with them to make this world a little bit of a better place. So I'm going to turn it over to Ben and let him share with you some really good news.
Thank you, Brian. It really is an honor for me to be in worship with you all this morning. This Build-A-Bed project is a lot about who you are as well, because you've been on this journey with me for 3 years. And so I'm here this morning to say thank you, and also to just kind of give you a little bit more information about this. But before I do that, I want you to know that I've been a part of your congregation. When I was going through seminary, back in the late 80s, so I'm dating myself, I worked here in your after-school program. I worked with Cindy Watts, and I think they started the program in 88, and I came in 89 and spent several years in that life-giving ministry back in the 80s. So it's good to be in a place that was home for me for several years as I worked in that ministry. So I'm here this morning to talk about this project that is such a big part of who I am now, a project that I wrestled with a number of years before I finally said yes. But I wanted to begin this morning by just reading from Matthew 11:28. And this is what this is all about, where Jesus says, "Come unto me, all who are weary and heavy laden." And Jesus says what? "And I will give you rest." And so I appreciate you, First Christian, for saying yes to this project and being the body of Christ and providing a beautiful act of God by providing rest for some of our children. As I was sharing in the other 2 worship services, I wrestled with this project. I felt like I was like Samuel when he was trying to figure out who was calling him. If you remember the story, little Samuel as a boy, and he heard the voice, someone calling his name, and he kept running to the priest, Eli, and Eli finally called on, "It's God calling you. So when you hear this, then just answer, 'God, here I am, for your servant is listening.'" It took me 4 years to say yes to this project. In 2010, I became aware of Build-A-Bed. It was a project that other communities had started throughout Kentucky, and God really touched my heart at that point in time that, "Ben, you need to bring this to Louisville." Well, I didn't have time. I had all these excuses to God of why I could not say yes to this project. But in my office, I work with community. I've got 3 programs I'm blessed to work with. But I kept hearing about a need for our children in our own community who did not have a bed that they could call their own. So after wrestling with this for about 4 years, I finally said yes. So, it took me a while, but I got to yes. And so I started on this journey because I had no money, I had no funding, but I knew God was calling me. And I also knew that this project was definitely much bigger than me, because I'm just one person, but I knew of this great need. So I called K&I Lumber, and some of you who have been a part of this project here over the past several years, you know Harold McDaniel. He's with K&I. So I called K&I Lumber, and I said, "We have a serious need in our community, and we need to build beds, and I need your help because I have no money." And they said, "What are you asking, Ben?" I said, "I'm asking that you would donate lumber so we can build beds for our children." They did not hesitate to say yes. And then I called Home Depot, and I said, "I need hardware. I've got lumber, but now I need carriage bolts and screws and equipment to put the wood together to make beds." And I spoke to Joe Altry, who's now over at the Westport location. Joe didn't hesitate, and he said yes. Then I called Bowles Mattress, which is a local company here. I told them about the need, and guess what they said? They said yes. And so what I've learned along this journey is that this project is much bigger than me. This project is about God's Spirit moving, and we have to be able to say yes when God calls. Because God called me to something much bigger than myself. And I knew that by myself I could not do this. But I truly believe that God calls us in many parts of our life, if not every part of our life, where we have to learn, and I have to learn, to say yes more often to God. Because when we say yes, then we receive blessings. So, as you know, many of our children go homeless in our community. We have over 10,000 children in our Louisville community that go homeless every year. And when they start all over again, they start with nothing. And I have been blessed to walk into many homes where I've seen bedding on the floor, and that's where children have been sleeping. This project, which First Christian said yes to, and I want you to know that I do a big build every year, and I knew we had to do more. First Christian was the first church to say, we can adopt this project and we can make this happen. So I want to thank you as First Christian, because what has happened as a result of y'all saying yes, there are other churches in Louisville that have followed right behind you, and I've been able to use you as an example, and they have said yes. So we're building more beds for our children, which is life-giving. It's part of being the body of Christ, and we are making a difference. So I say thank you, and I say on behalf of all the children that have received beds from you, thank you and God bless you.